Hey, welcome to the Foster Fathers Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Kyle.
And this is a podcast all about foster care, adoption, and fatherhood.
We hope that you feel welcome. We hope that you feel that you belong. And we're glad that you're here to share this time with us.
Let's go.
Welcome back to Foster Brothers, Foster Fathers.
Go for it. Start over.
Welcome back to Foster Fathers. Although, actually, Chris.
Yes, sir.
It's no longer Foster Fathers, then, because I am no longer a foster dad.
Ooh.
I am an adopted dad.
So are we allowed to have
Adoptive
this
dad?
episode, this podcast anymore?
Do I need another kid?
I guess I'm a foster dad still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to put in for another kid.
Oh, my gosh. You probably would, dude.
Just got to keep it pure.
Yeah.
Gotta
Let's address the elephant in the room. We took about a month off.
Yes.
And this is like let's call it a summer break. Let's do that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's summer.
We had a buddy DJ, and we had a couple Alex, we had a Monty, had some great guests over the summer, and then you adopted a few kids, and we just were running.
4 to be exact.
We were running a million miles an hour.
Yep.
And we ran out of content, and we said, you know what?
I don't think we ran out of content. I think we just
had life happen.
we had life happen.
And summer. And it was 117 degrees.
You were
over
gone,
there.
then I was gone, then you were gone, then I was gone.
So we're calling that a summer break, but we're back.
Good to be
Here
back.
we are.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
It feels a little awkward. Well, I just saw you 2 days ago.
You did. And we saw each other like a week before that.
And then, yeah. So, I mean, we have seen each other. Chris and I are still friends. We're
Yes, we
just
are.
not.
We didn't
Just
get in
not
my
on a
messy garage.
Just not friends on a podcast.
Which somehow, here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're back. Today's episode is a great one, dude.
Before we hop into it, hold on.
Oh, wait.
Let's do your.
I was like precursoring.
Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead. Dang it, dude. We're a little clunky.
We're like rusty here. This is a cool episode. We
Yeah.
are talking through your adoption.
Yes.
Not yours, your kid's adoption.
Yeah.
And we can maybe have a two-parter. Let's do that. Let's talk about the adoption day. And then directly following. We're honing in on Kyle for these 2 episodes.
Wow.
Let's do that, huh?
Sorry, guys.
No, it's good. It's fresh. I think that's a perspective that potentially people want to hear about.
Yeah.
You know, what's that day like? There's so much mystery there.
Yeah.
That really is not full of mystery. I've had one of these days, and you've now had one of them.
Yeah.
Bald like a baby, this guy over here. But we can dive into that.
Not me.
Yeah. And then you had part 2. We'll do an extravaganza. You had an extravaganza.
A party is that
A
what
block
the
party.
Yeah.
And then what the first 2 weeks after have been. So
Yeah.
But yes.
Before we hop into my story, though, I think you get a chance to say your this week's in foster care is.
This week in foster care for me, man, it's just losing your crap left and right. I don't know.
No,
Maybe that's just summer.
Dig deep.
Here's the reality. We have a podcast which maybe you think we have stuff together. We don't. But I will say that this week in foster care probably is. I do work at a church. Sorry, but I get to have a lot of conversations with couples and people who are really exploring this journey. And it's cool. I mean, the whole reason we started this podcast was to be a resource and quelch some of these questions. And this week in foster care was just hopping on a phone call with a lady who had, I don't want to say she had like unrealistic thoughts of what it is, but she just didn't know. And I've heard this is how it is. And you're like, well, not really. Like, it's kind of like this. I've heard that this terrible thing is going to happen. And you're like, well, I don't know about that. And she's probably looking down the road of international adoption. She's considering foster care for sure, her and her husband. But this week in foster care is just like, wow, there's just so many nuances to this. And that's part of why we started something like this.
Yeah.
But then also, like, I get to be the guy, who answers all the questions. And that's a good thing. That's a lovely thing.
You got to pretend to have the answers.
Yeah. In my professional experience.
I got together last week with a friend of ours, started a foster care, and they jumped into it with a slightly preteen girl.
Sounds like a really easy.
Yeah, real easy transition here. And it's just, we sat down, we grabbed coffee, and I was like, hey, man, I wish I had good questions. I wish I had good advice. I wish I had, something I could tell you. I said, but honestly, you're struggling with it.
Yeah.
Your wife's struggling with it. But you guys are still working hard. You're still making progress. You're still, and you're seeing the frustration and the beauty, and this is foster care.
Yeah.
You know, that is it. You know, and there's no easy answers.
Yeah.
There are no easy answers. There's no. Just, I'm gonna wrap this in a bow and give it to you.
Yeah,
Here you
there
go,
is
dude.
no straight line in this thing. We've talked about this. We've said it. We've said it a lot. It's complicated.
It's
never the right. It's never like the same.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, when you do kind of meet someone in that same journey, it's almost like this felt sense of relief because you're like, wow, I think you get it. Mm-hmm. And like I think I've shared this story before. I coach baseball, 7-year-olds now, and one of them is like, hey,
next year you'll be coaching the
Dude.
Houston. Has Houston called you up yet?
No, I would never.
Aren't they a big baseball? Aren't they a good baseball team?
I'm a big.
Dodgers.
Yeah, I have.
Dodgers. You're a big Dodgers fan.
Yikes.
All right.
But they're like, hey, my son is, he's adopted, and I'm like, that's easy. Not like that's easy, but like, hey, no, cool. We do this. We are foster parents. We've adopted, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like and so it's cool to have that kind of community that you can dive in. But okay, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Here we are. Kyle recently has adopted his 4 foster kids. Yep. They share the same last name as you.
Yep. So just to recap, we got the younger 2 kids. We had them 2 years ago, September, so just shy of 2 years.
Nice.
The older 2 moved in with us last July, end of July, early August. And then we actually found, Jessica and I, neither of us were aware of this, but their termination, the termination of parental rights moved to permanency was actually, the hearing was August 1st, one year to the day of our adoption. So it's kind of wild. I mean, that as soon as that shifted, everything was kind of out the window. We're just like, okay, this is where we're going. And honestly, I quit paying attention. They said, it could be as early as January. Is it your adoption?
It's not January.
Yeah, your adoption could be as early as January.
Yeah.
And we just Jessica kind of laughed, and we thought, this is government work, you know. Sorry, we love you guys.
If you work for the government.
All of our friends at the Department of Health and Welfare, we love you guys, but there's stuff behind you that takes a long, long, long time, and we're okay with that.
And it's also fine. Government construction. You drive through one of those construction sites, and there's like 6 people not doing anything. Yeah.
So to our 3 caseworkers, shout out to you, because we know you work your you know what's off, and you are always working. To everybody behind the scenes, pushing lead or whatever, cutting through red tape.
Maybe do a little faster.
You can speed it up or not, because really it just doesn't matter. Because for us,
it didn't matter, right?
It didn't matter. The point was they were going to become our kids. People thought, oh man, I thought you said March. I thought you said April. I thought you said May. And we're just, we said, you know what? Nothing really changes. But then this is what I will focus on is, I think in theory, I thought nothing changes, right? I thought these kids are ours. We've had this mentality. They've been living with us. It's not a big transition theoretically, because the kids have been living with us. But it sure feels different now.
Oh, wow.
It sure feels different. And then actually one of our neighbors came up last week and said, I don't know if I'm, I don't want to step over my bounds, but I think that I believe I can feel a difference between your kids. They feel more at peace. They feel more at rest. They feel settled. Yeah. And she said it seems like it happened. And this was from a neighbor who came to our adoption.
Love it.
Has been very involved, babysits our kids, all that stuff. So she sees a lot of it. So that was really, really sweet insight coming from her. So
let me walk us through this.
Yeah, we woke up, and we actually started the night before, where we've been talking about this month in and month, week in and week out. Yeah, adoption's coming up.
Let's dive into those moments, those conversations. You're saying, explaining to a wide range of kids, wide ages, and then developmental ages, if you want to be honest.
4, 5, 7, and 9. Yeah.
Hey, we're adopting you.
Yeah.
How's that conversation going?
The younger 2 have been calling us mommy, mom, daddy, dad for probably 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
So that's been happening. It started with the youngest dude on up, because I think for him, when we got him, he was just under 3.
Yeah.
That's what he knows.
Yeah.
We're what he knows. I mean, he's lived with us almost as long as he had lived with his mom. And so, that had started. We hadn't been pushing that, kind of just letting it go. And the younger two are wholly call us mom and dad. The older two are kind of hit and miss, depends on the situation. Our 7-year-old, she's actually started. She was the last one to hold out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the conversations just looked like, we'd be sitting at dinner and we'd say, hey, pretty soon, we're going to be adopting you guys, and you will be ours forever. You're going to have our last name, and that means that we are responsible for you, that no one else can take you away from us, that there's not going to be any more changes. And our 7-year-old likes to play tough, and she's all, she gets goofy about it. And I think when she gets goofy, it's kind of that self-protective mechanism. Our 9-year-old, I mean, he just turned 9, but he was 8 at the time, and he, it really struck a lot of big questions for him. Does that mean I'm never going to live with my mom again? Am I ever going to see my mom again?
Those are heavy, dude.
And I know that, this is one of the things we've talked about forever. Is you're unaware before foster care. You're unaware that you can have two contrasting feelings at the same time. And I could see in his eyes this comfort and peace of being our kid.
Yeah.
Of knowing that at least this current state of life is not going to change. Yeah. It's going to be consistent. It's going to keep moving on. But also simultaneously, he's letting go.
Wow.
So he's holding on and letting, and it's just really bizarre that to have to, as a 9-year-old, to have to do those two things. And so we started having those conversations because for us, we didn't think that they would be able to absorb one huge conversation. So we kind of just, we kind of just normalized the adoptive conversation to say, this is what's coming. Oh yeah, adoption, and we started the conversation before we even had an adoption date. They only gave us about 5 weeks, which you got way less, didn't you?
I think I got way more.
Oh, of a notice?
Yeah.
One of our friends said that they got like 3 weeks. He said, "Oh, here's adoption." It was 3 weeks later.
Yeah. I think we got a few, actually, like 2 months.
Yeah. So, so we'd had that conversation. Then the night before, we just had one big, hey, what is adoption? When we say adoption, what does that mean? Yeah. What do you guys think?
I've asked that to my adopted 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And she has no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our 4-year-old, he was, I don't know. The 7 and 9-year-old, this is what that means. Yep, that's right, dude. That's right. That's what it looks like. So we had that conversation the day before. The next day, I think,
which is the day of the adoption.
The day of the adoption, it just felt like everything was dragging. There was just this big anticipation, this unknown.
Because yours was like at 3 p.m.?
Yeah, it was afternoon.
So you're like,
so you're
gosh.
Looking the whole day, dude. Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh. And so we had a few friends and family over just immediately after the adoption. So I made this Costco trip, and it was kind of nice to go to Costco, just take your mind off of everything.
Yeah. Just get those good deals,
Yep. Yeah, I just needed a distraction of kids, stop! No, don't grab that. Put that. No, get next to the cart. Don't get run over. I just needed something just to get my heart rate up. As if it wasn't up enough that day. And then I mean the whole day. I mean, we start to get ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's I know your story that your little girl. You're like. It was the worst.
It was her worst attitude she's probably ever had.
Yeah. And I think, same thing. I mean, we get to get going, and my 9-year-old just argued every single thing. Hey, can you put on these shorts? Well, I wanted to wear pants. No, dude, let's wear shorts. Well, can't I wear this color shorts? No, those ones are dirty, dude. Look at that. You got they're covered in mud.
Yeah.
Well, but they're the ones I want to wear. Just put on the blue ones, please, dude. Just put on the blue. And it's one of those ones where I know exactly is his anxiety. You know, I mean, how does a 9-year-old, he feels like this is a big day. This is a really hard thing. This is hard. And even positive emotions are hard. And they bring about, everybody responds different to positive and negative emotions.
That's good.
And so, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was starting to get ramped up because I'm also just stressed overall because, the logistics and all that stuff. And so we finally get through it. Everybody's on. We took a picture out front of our house. It's kind of been our thing at every stage of our foster care. We've had a picture with the group that we have in our house at that time, in front of our house. So cool. we had our kind of last foster care photo. For now.
Knowing you.
Yeah. No, I mean, with that group, that was with that group. It's bound to change for sure. So then we got on our bikes and we biked down to the courthouse.
That's the funniest thing to me, dude.
Yeah.
He's just like hopping on his bike. Everyone's got their helmets on, cruising down.
It was definitely hot. Jessica was kind of like, we should have just taken the car. But in my mind, I was like, this is what we do. We bike everywhere. I had 3 kids on my bike.
I love it, though.
We're biking.
That's cool.
We're biking. So we biked down. It was a little bit chaotic because I didn't read the email, and so I didn't know which floor we were supposed to go to. And I asked this one lady, and she's all, I don't do adoption cases. I have no idea where you should go.
So if you happen to be someone who potentially is going to adopt somebody, if the state emails you,
read it.
Yeah, you should
read it. It's good. Because they didn't give us a courtroom, but they said, hey, wait up on floor 4, and so.
Which is where all of them take place.
Yeah, which is where all of them here.
Idaho, Boise, where we live, has 1 judge.
Yeah.
And so 1 floor, there's like 4 courtrooms you can choose from.
Yeah.
There's some secret back hallway, I'm sure.
I will say this: our kids' grandpa is still very much involved in their lives. He's great. He has had a touch of a troubled past. I'm presuming based off of his comment, but he says, "This is the first time I've come to this courthouse for a good thing."
Oh my God!
I thought it was great, and he was laughing about it. He's all, "It's so good. It's good to be here." So we go up. And then people just start getting off the elevator, and you forgot how many people. I forgot how many people invited. It felt like 100. It's probably like 15.
Yeah.
But it felt like 100 people, and
it's full.
And we're just waiting, and then you all cram into about 2.
Yeah, there's like 2
pews.
rows.
Yeah,
I don't think they expect these big old
no
parties.
And people come in, and everyone's just kind of spread out, and that's when it really started to hit me. Was sitting down. I had to do my coaching to myself that I coach my kids, like deep breaths, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth.
Love it.
Get your central nervous system in check, and just. And I could feel the tears start to well up.
Yeah. Let me pause real quick.
Yeah.
We're walking through someone who's potentially listening about what those day looks like. So, for brass tacks, like itinerary, you get assigned a courtroom.
Yep.
You end up, you got to go to the courthouse, which is standard. You got to go to the metal detector, blah, blah, blah. You go up to the courtroom, the floor, you're waiting.
Yep.
And then what's about to happen is the judge is going to, read a few things. You're going to, be asked questions.
Yeah, it's a legal hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a legal hearing, yeah.
It's documented, obviously. Makes sense. And then also
we had gone before. We had, through our attorney, we have an attorney. Mm-hmm. Our state gives us money to hire an attorney.
Yep.
And so they provide financially. We have to pay it, and then we get reimbursed for it. Hopefully they do. Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
That's why he did it.
Yeah, just for the reimbursement check, that break even. But
you have to make sure the legal documents
this
look
attorney,
right.
Yeah, this attorney says, "Hey, this is who your kids previously were. This is what happened to them. This is what happened next, and here's what's going to happen next, which is they take on this name." We renamed 3 of our kids' middle names, and of course, all 4 of their last names. One of our oldest got to keep his grandpa's middle name.
It's in the picture.
What's that?
Because he's in the picture.
Because he's in the picture. He still is very supportive. He still is very involved. He's a respectable person that we believe in. One of our daughters got Jessica's middle name. So you have to go through all that and you sign it.
Which that in himself, the paperwork trail is kind of a cool and also kind of a weird.
Yeah.
That is the simplest explanation of what happened over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's so our 9-year-old, school just started up 2 weeks ago, and they were all supposed to bring a bag with 3 or 4 different items in it. Yeah. Something significant that something that one was something that's unique about your family. And I said, why don't you take your adoption paperwork? And he goes, what? And I said, take your that's something unique. Yeah. I said, I bet most of your friends have, a standard parent situation.
Yeah.
And so I actually gave him the kind of
the legal document.
The legal document.
Oh my God.
I mean, the thing is, we have 5 copies of everything because we have our copy and then 1 copy per kid.
Okay.
So and because they're all the same because it was one situation. So so I sent him with 1 of the 5, right? So I said for you guys, you probably only had 2 copies. You probably had your daughter's and yours. But we had ours plus 4 kids.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, I think we can do this. Anyway, so I sent him with it, and somebody goes, that is so cool. He was telling me that someone that just thought it was how neat that is that he has this paperwork of this significant life change. Yeah, so we went through all that beforehand. We filled out all this paperwork. Yeah. We signed about 1 million DocuSigns.
It's like buying a house.
And then you send it, and then they send it back, and like you missed one, and then you fill 2 more out, and then they're like, oh, you missed another one, and you're like, oh my goodness, dude. And I'm filling it out on my phone. It's about 4 inches.
And he's got an iPhone 6.
Yeah, it's like a 3-inch screen. Chris has got the 8-inch screen. I think it's a tablet. Anyway, so we had already filled that out, but what you have to do is sign a couple final papers as part of like in the court hearing, as like legally this has been observed. There were witnesses. The judge was there.
Which the best part about this? Let's go through all the stuff, but at the end, after it's all done, we take a picture with the judge, and Kyle goes, hey, Judge Ellis, you got to come on our podcast. I mean, so maybe one day.
He is a legend.
He's awesome.
He's a legend. I believe he was adopted.
Yeah.
And then he's adopted 2 kids through our state foster care system.
So you are, he enters the room, and I don't know how your state is, what your life, whoever's listening, what it's like, but our judge is pretty straightforward, but also really nice, kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so he comes in and he goes, hey, here we are. There's a lot of you guys. Like, I have a gavel for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I remember all that.
He brought a gavel just for the fun of it.
He got a new one or something.
I feel like that's what everybody would want, so I'm going to do the gavel at the end.
But you're sitting there.
Yeah,
we're
sitting there, and we got all the kids. So we're at, just like a classic courtroom. You have the state, our permanency worker and the attorney on one side, and then us on the other side. And they start off, and he says, hey, I would like for the record to have everybody's name. This is on recording. Yeah, everybody's name who's here. And that's when it really started ramping up for me, because you have these people, our neighbors. You guys were there. One of Jessica's longest friends, my longest friend.
Every single person is audibly saying, Chris.
Yeah, this is who Tracy. I am. This is who I am. And even there was a handful of our prior caseworkers who were there, and it was so cool to see that they were a part of that.
Dude, that's got to be that's fun.
And so I'm okay, dude. So same thing. I'm breathing.
But he's already crying, dude. He's like,
these people. Well, no, but what really got me was then it came around to my daughter our 7-year-old was sitting on my lap. And I said, hey, it's your turn. Go ahead and say your name. And I'm expecting her just to say her first name. And then she says, first name, Psych, which is our last name. Our last name is Psych. For those of you who see it and are don't know how to pronounce it, it's pronounced Psych. So she says her name, Psych. And she is, it's one of those ones where she's always been the one where we wondered, would she buy into this change? Would she, of course she's going along with it, but she's just kind of, she always comes around and she's very genuine girl, which is the nice thing, if she means it, she means it. But she says psych, and then I started crying, and then I got it back together, and then the judge asks you, hey, or the attorney starts asking you these questions. Were you fully informed? Do you have any other information? Blah blah blah, and then they said, can you explain to us why you believe that this is the best situation for this child?
So during my adoption, I didn't know that was coming, and I think you probably witnessed that at ours.
Yeah, she warned us in the lobby,
I didn't get
and
one
I
of
was
those.
like, oh man, it didn't help. It didn't help. But go ahead.
And Kyle has these things called emotions that he's very aware of, and I'm a little bit like
hyperly. Yeah. I'm not. I'm aware of them because they're very prevalent.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with them.
It was beautiful. I just gotta say, coming from me, Mr. That was cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a little misty too, but He just, I don't even know. I have it on video because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I have it for you.
Yeah.
But he's just listed all these reasons. And then when your wife was talking, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't hold it together. You were like, cry baby, dude.
Yeah,
you
my
were like
answer.
high pitched.
My answer.
I don't know
if I can say. I don't know what to say. I think that's actually what I said. I don't know what to say. As I'm just fighting back tears and.
Well, you're professing this love. You're professing this journey. You're encapsulating it.
Well, and
you're stating your why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's like.
Geez. And just to be honest, as they're asking us, do you believe that this is the best outcome for your child?
Yeah,
this is
that's a hard one. Yeah.
This is very controversial, but it does go back to just the confliction that you feel in this foster care journey, and that in that moment, it's kind of, do I believe this is a great situation for our kids? Yeah. Yeah.
But is it as it should be?
Is it as it should be? No. And so you kind of just have to put to reason what we talked about before, and I think this was something you said, is we're making the best of an already bad, like we're turning a bad situation into something that can be good.
Yeah.
And
it is good.
It is good. And so I can confidently say, like, these kids are thriving and they're doing great, and it's opportunistic, and there is love, and I don't know if anybody, I love them, and in fact, I've been going back and forth a little bit with their mom. Their mom wants to see them again, and been going back and forth with her a little bit. And at the end of the day, she says I just want to see my kids. And I said,
wait a minute.
And I'm thinking, well, those are my kids now too.
Yeah.
So
in our conversations, you called me shortly after that, or texted, ranted, or something.
Yeah, dude.
Something.
Yeah, we can
healthy, but we talked through the reality of it. Is we've been called in foster care to care for the whole family.
Yeah,
reunification is the goal. We are very clear on that.
Right.
And I believe in that. I know your heart, and I know that you do.
Yeah.
And even still, to be conflicted in professing it in front of a judge about how everyone, including the state of Idaho where we live, has said, this is the best thing for our kid. Yeah. You go, pretty sure.
Yeah.
That shows your heart for her.
Yeah.
And then essentially, no, these are your kids now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And and there's no question that this is.
And you have to care about that first.
And we're going to make the absolute best outcome that we possibly can. Yeah. And giving these kids, opportunities. And I'm in the best opportunity. This is one thing, just to say this is, at the end of the day, what these kids need most is you. Yeah. What these kids need most is me. And they need a quality version of me. And just to anchor in what foster care is about, what adoption is about, is it's not about the fact that we may make more money than their prior parents. Oh, yeah. Probably do make more money than their prior parents, right? And I'm saying a general, right? But the fact of the matter is you're giving these kids love, connection, and the intangibles, and experiencing what a family looks like, whether that kid's with you forever through adoption, or whether that kid's with you for a few months, a year. Good, man. What you are giving to that kid is the feeling of they now know what it looks like. They now know what that looks like to be loved, and to experience. So, anyways, back to it.
Yeah. You profess, you do all these things. Then the judge asks some questions that are fairly straightforward.
Yeah, just the legal mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Hey, are you blah blah blah? Okay, sign this off.
One of the coolest things I think you referenced in a previous podcast. Are you willing to these kids be in your inheritance? Things like that you don't think about. Like this, you are changing the destiny of your family.
Right.
You are changing the destiny of their life.
Right.
Generations to come. Right. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a wild thing.
I think when I heard it at your that statement was, do you swear to take care of these kids, full rights as if they were your own child, even to the legal right of inheritance, as if they were your own child?
Which I think I've said.
I think it hit me harder at yours because I'm seeing your biological.
He's
kids.
Crying because my kids would inherit Pokemon cards and be like, it's not worth anything.
All my kids get is just a bunch of crappy bikes. I have too many crappy bikes and
some mirror mugs.
Some nice ones too. But for me, there's no contrast. Like for you, that you have two biological kids, and then you have this other kid who now is equal to them, right?
That's good.
And when I see your family, you would have no idea that little girl is.
You would think our little boy is the adopted one.
Yeah,
he does not. He's as pale as can be.
I mean, not even just by looks, but I just mean by how you guys treat them. By how you treat them, they all get equal attention, equal love, equal affection. Like there's no favoritism. There's no second tier. There is first tier. Everybody's on the first tier. So kudos to you. And so I think it was a little bit more profound to me seeing you guys in that space. Yeah. Because I did see how she was then elevated to that point. For us, these kids, do you promise to treat them as if they're your own biological kids? And I'm all, well, I don't know what I would do with my own biological kids. So, let's do it.
I hope you guys pop one out for fun, dude.
Yeah. Don't you wish that on me, Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, they have a biological kid for their fifth kid. That would make me so happy.
But man, when the judge did hit that gavel, they kind of just I guess it's he's like I see no reason why, and here you guys go. I now pronounce you went through all of our names, all their names.
That's a cool moment too.
So and so psych, so and so psych, so and so psych, and you're all, and it really. I was talking through it with someone. Man, sorry, it feels like it's been a blur. It's only been a few weeks, but it's been a blur. No. But they said, wow, how did that feel? And I said, it felt like simultaneously this weight was lifted. This weight, like we've always talked about, that weight of uncertainty, that weight of unknowing, that weight of ambiguity, and the in between and the waiting.
This is the checkpoint,
right? And then you cross that threshold, and you're like, wow, we made it. But then the weight of
the rest.
I'm actually a parent of 4 kids.
Yeah.
I'm actually a parent of 4 kids. All full legal responsibility.
Yeah.
At this point now, kids break the TV. I can't go to the state and ask for them to refund the TV. No, I'm just teasing. But that
it was broken before the adoption.
Yeah, it was broken. Yeah. I just turned it in now. It's busy.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little hectic. Yeah.
But the full responsibility is now I am a dad.
Yeah.
I am legally not just a guardian. I am a father now, and it's
cool, man.
That's big, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and honestly, I think as a whole, like, it helped us move forward. I feel like there is something so much more firm, so much more secure, and it's really cool.
And nothing like your story would include a clerical issue.
Yeah.
If you remember, his licensing got all lost, and he had to redo all his licensing paperwork. So he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to be a foster parent." And they're like, "We don't even have a record of you."
Oh my gosh.
So Kyle's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a foster parent and you lose my paperwork?
I did the most kind, passive-aggressive lecture of come through for us because we're trying to come through for you.
You get a call from the courtroom, not even an hour later.
Yeah,
what
they
happened?
said, hey, we need you to come back because we misspelled one of the kids' names.
So Kyle's like leaving his like kind of after party. I'll be right back.
We got burgers on the grill, dude. I got a half-open beer, and I'm all right. I'll see you later. Jessica was so nervous. She's like, "You should probably drink some water so they don't think you're just drunk at home." And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah. I just adopted 4 kids. That man better be drinking. Sorry, that's a bad joke.
So, and then school started the next week, and it was actually really cool, because people, you see friends you haven't seen for the summer, and they say, "What's new? What have you been up to?"
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, and it's exciting, and
well, let's save some of this after stuff for
the next
episode 2.
Okay.
Part 2. Okay, but let's put this one a nice little bow on this.
Yeah.
Someone's about to walk into their adoption date courtroom.
Yeah.
Not, you're about a month or so after.
Maybe you want to give the takeaway, because you're sitting on the outsider's perspective.
Oh no, dude, I want to hear yours. I mean, what would I say for a takeaway on that day? Say you're preparing for an adoption.
Yeah.
I mean, the cliche stuff, right? Take it slow. You're not gonna
give yourself some grace and patience, dude. Please,
whatever. Yeah, that's true. There's this weird pressure on that day, like as if it's like a magical moment, and it is. Don't get me wrong; it's a very pivotal, honestly, generational changing, really stamp on the journey kind of thing.
Yeah, in some ways, it felt like a wedding.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. But it's also just a day. Yeah. And it's just the culmination of a journey, but you're definitely still on it. Yeah. So I would say my takeaway would be take it in. Yeah. But it's not everything. It's not. It's cool. It's at 45 minutes. They're on to the next one. And so I don't know. I think that's maybe a rather cynical view, but
I think my takeaway is, I mean, it's special. It's so special. I mean, there's no denying, I don't think there was a dry, except for yours, because you don't cry.
No, I was misty, dude. I was
outside
a little
of
bit
Chris.
Like, man, there's some sinus stuff in here.
Yeah. I mean, there was,
my wife's bawling.
Yeah. Everybody was crying. And I think, a friend of ours, came back and he just said, that if that's not a story of redemption, if that is not just symbolic of what love and redemption looks like, I don't know what is. And I think, you're able to, for those who followed life with us during these last 2 years, to look back, it's kind of like, your life is flashing before your eyes, and then here's this moment, like boom, adoption. And so it is a big deal, and do some chance if you can, do some chance to reflect on that, and surround yourself with people. Yeah. Make it a big deal, and tell people. Man, that's the biggest thing. We are not a sum of ourselves. We're a sum of all the people who are invested in us, and
love it. That's great.
There's a lot to it. Honestly, there's so many takeaways, but.
Okay, well, we want to do a part 2.
Okay,
I'm springing this one on you, but I think the immediate weeks after you took some time off, I believe, and what is that like? What's the adjustment period like? That's a whole episode, I think.
Yeah.
So good job.
Okay, dude.
Way to adopt your kids, buddy. Good job to your wife, really.
Yeah.
But I was kidding.
So now the format's going to change because I got to include adopted dads now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Foster adopted fathers.
No. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yes.
Thanks for waiting for us, and we'll see you next time.
Later.